Hello, this is the video lesson for Wednesday, May 13th. Today we're going to read the second half of the Nikola Tesla selection, looking for vocabulary, key details, and summarizing the last half of the selection. For today's lesson, you will need your benchmark book, your work packet, page 15, and a pencil. First, I'm going to begin with reading the summary that we wrote yesterday in our Zoom meeting to summarize the first half of the selection. All right, so here's our summary that we wrote yesterday in the Zoom meeting. Nikola Tesla was a brilliant scientist. He created great things we use today. He was intelligent from an early age and focused on science when he was 28. Tesla first worked for Thomas Edison, and later he went on his own. So in the second half of the selection, we're going to learn about Tesla's work and the rivalry or fight between himself and Thomas Edison. Open up your books to page 27. And as before, I will do a first read, defining vocabulary, and then a second read where we look for key details in the selection. I actually started this video once before, so some of this has already been written in. This page is called The Amazing Alternating Current. Alternating current, or AC, is going to be defined with context clues later on this paragraph. Tesla kept working on his own idea of how to improve the way energy was transmitted. And transmitted is a word we read yesterday, which means how it was sent from the power station to the place where the power needed to go. Finally, he came up with alternating current, AC, transmission. Instead of electricity going in one direction, and that was DC, it would move rapidly back and forth. So if you'll underline move rapidly back and forth, and that is the definition of alternating current. This would allow it to carry higher levels of electricity more efficiently over longer distances than DC transmission. He left Edison and built a small, efficient AC motor. A businessman named George Westinghouse saw AC's potential and bought Tesla's patent in 1885. Now, yesterday I explained that a patent is a paper with the government that says that you own the rights to your invention. And so when he bought the patent, Westinghouse bought the rights to the invention that Tesla had made. So go ahead and annotate that definition for bought Tesla's patent. This means that Westinghouse could then develop the energy system and make money selling energy to households and businesses and everyone else that wanted to use it. Now, Edison and Tesla were engaged in a battle of science, the war of the currents. The winner would lay claim as a visionary scientist and also reap or earn millions of dollars. That's our context clue that lets us know that reap means they're going to earn a lot of money. They would reap millions of dollars in business. Neither wanted to lose, but which power would ultimately win? Now, after we read the caption on this picture below, you should be able to draw a conclusion who is going to win this battle of the currents. Masses of electrical and telegraph wires fell down during New York's disastrous blizzard of 1888. And I use context clues to figure out what disastrous meant. Disastrous is a very bad thing. You can tell because the wires fell down and people were killed. Edison's heavy copper wiring and DC system were blamed. So right now, please write right here so I can ask you later, whose power will ultimately win? So fill it in there. Edison or Tesla? Okay, flip it over and let's continue. The War of Currents. Over the next few years, the battle raged on between Edison on one side and Westinghouse and Tesla on the other. Edison tried to persuade people or talk them into it. He wanted to talk them into thinking that AC current was too dangerous. Westinghouse later said this about Edison and his campaign. A campaign is when you go out and talk about your POV, or your point of view. Now, all of this in italics is a direct quote from Westinghouse. I remember Tom, Edison, telling them that direct current was like a river flowing peacefully to the sea, while alternating current was like a torrent. A torrent is a rushing river. AC was like a torrent rushing violently over a precipice, over a cliff, kind of like a really dangerous looking waterfall. They even had a professor named Harold Brown who went around talking to audiences, and electrocuting dogs and old horses, even an elephant, right on stage to show how dangerous alternating current was. And hopefully you know that electrocuting means killing with electricity. It's what your parents would always say to you if you tried to stick anything into a wall socket. Don't put that spoon or fork in there or you'll electrocute yourself. So this professor named Harold Brown would do that right in front of people to try and scare them about the use of alternating current. Tesla argued that DC current was too weak and inefficient. Edison was a powerful opponent, but so was Tesla. Well-dressed, elegant, and a true showman, he loved giving demonstrations to get people excited about his inventions. He wasn't afraid to fight for what he believed in, and he believed in AC transmission. So at the top of the page, here's a picture where Tesla demonstrates wireless transmission of power and energy during an 1891 lecture. World's Fair. The battle finally came to a head when Edison and Westinghouse, using Tesla's ideas, competed for the chance to provide electricity for the lights of the Chicago World's Fair in 1893. Edison said he would light the fair for $1 million. Westinghouse said he could light the fair for half that amount, and Westinghouse would be using Tesla's ideas. The two sides set up rival systems, but when they were turned on, Edison's lights looked dim compared with Tesla's. AC power won the battle. This current is used in the United States today. Dim, by the way, means that the lights are pretty low and weak compared to the ones that Tesla used. Harnessing the power of Niagara Falls. But Tesla wasn't done. From 1893 to 1896, he worked on a massive project to harness the power of Niagara Falls for electricity. So harnessing here means taming it so that you can be using it, using the power of a waterfall. And Niagara Falls is one of the biggest falls in the world, the biggest in the United States. Tesla's investors were nervous, but when a switch was flipped on, electricity flowed to the city of Buffalo, miles away. Tesla had created the first successful hydroelectric project. And if you remember reading my essay on hydropower, hydroelectric means creating power or electricity from moving water. We'll read the timeline at the very end of the lesson. Tesla coil. In 1891, Tesla invented the Tesla coil. Now this will be defined with context clues right now. This device uses electricity from devices such as radios and televisions. It then transforms it into very high voltage. Voltage here means power. Very high power. A large coil can light up fluorescent lights up to 50 feet away. Larger Tesla coils can emit or produce bolts of lightning and sparks of electricity. Today, many science museums have massive Tesla coils that demonstrate that power. The final paragraph is called Tesla Fades from History. In later years, Tesla had fewer successful inventions. By the time he died in 1943, Tesla had mostly faded from public memory. Today, there is a movement to restore Tesla to the prominent or important place he deserves for his work in science. The Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, Serbia, where he was from, showcases Tesla's achievements. The California-based electric car company, Tesla Motors, is named after him. This does not mean that he invented the Tesla car, just that they used his name for it because he was an important person in electricity. The unit of magnetic flux density is called Tesla, is named for him as well. The Tesla unit measures the concentration of a magnetic field. So that's your magnetic flux density. Tesla received this high honor from the international scientific community in recognition of his work and many inventions. Tesla made the world a brighter place in his lifetime, and his influence continues today. Now that we've finished our first read, we will go back and underline or highlight some key details. I'm going to use a highlighter for these key details because I've done quite a bit of underlining in finding definitions for our words. So let's turn back to paragraph 9. So the title of this first section is called The Amazing Alternating Current. So we are looking for key details that tell us about alternating current. So the main idea of this section is that he, Tesla, came up with alternating current transmission. Instead of electricity going in one direction, it would move rapidly back and forth. This would allow it to carry higher levels of electricity more efficiently over longer distances than DC transmission. So, in my own words, this key detail is that Tesla invented AC, which worked better than DC. Another thing that's important to know on this page is that a businessman named George Westinghouse saw AC's potential and bought Tesla's patent in 1885. Now we've already bought the rights to the invention, so I'm just going to put the name of the businessman, George Westinghouse. Bought the rights to the invention, or to the AC. And he was the one who turned it into a money-making business. Okay, so those are our key details. If you need to pause to continue writing them down, go ahead. Otherwise, we're going to flip our book over. Now, in this section called The War of the Currents, this first paragraph is talking about the battle between them, between Edison and Tesla, with Westinghouse backing him up. But I'm going to focus on the last paragraph. There was a battle, but Tesla loved giving demonstrations to get people excited about his inventions. That's a key detail that I'm going to turn into this statement right here. Tesla showed how AC was better. Whoops, and I was highlighting key details. He loved giving demonstrations to get people excited about his inventions. So this is a key detail that I'm writing down. Tesla showed how AC was better. All right, let's flip the book over. So continuing on in this battle of the currents, the top part of this paragraph about the World's Fair is describing how Edison and Westinghouse were going to compete. The final detail that's the most important is that Edison's lights looked dim compared with Tesla's, and AC power won the battle. Edison's lights looked dim compared with Tesla's. AC power won the battle. So our key detail is Tesla won the battle and proved AC was better than DC. You might want to move that key detail up higher. I'm going to put a box around it to separate it from our definitions. So Tesla won the battle and proved that AC was better than DC. But that wasn't all. Something else that he did, and was the first scientist to do it, making him that visionary, brilliant scientist that we got from the very beginning of the selection. Tesla worked on a project to harness the power of Niagara Falls for electricity. He created the first successful hydroelectric project. And hydroelectric power, or water power, is, again, something that we use even to this day. What we do not use are Edison's DC current lines, not to bring electricity to our homes from far away. We use DC power for small things, like your batteries, for your flashlight or your phone. Anything that runs on a battery is direct current, directly from the battery to the device that you're powering. So Tesla won the battle, and he also made the first water power. Also a key detail. Okay. Now for the rest of this page, do I find key details? The Tesla coil is another invention, not as widely used as hydroelectric power or alternating current. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that section and just get to a final conclusion down at the bottom of the last paragraph. Tesla made the world a brighter place in his lifetime and his influence continues today. He was very important. Tesla was very important. I'm going to do imp for important in electricity. Even today. And so there are your key details from the end of this selection. So one of the things that you'll do for your homework before the Zoom meeting will be on page 15. Again, instead of writing all the key details, which I already found for you, you're going to finish your summary of Nikola Tesla. And everything that we've read about in this second half, almost everything, dealt with his alternating current. So if you'll remember from our very first writing that we did, this is your main idea. The developing of AC, carrying higher levels of electricity more efficiently over longer distances than DC. This is your main idea that you can use to begin your paragraph that summarizes, and then look at the rest of your key details and summarize them in your own words. Everything has already been marked with KD for key details. And if you didn't write those down, you can always back the video up. All right, so I looked it up, and ven means to come. Just like in Spanish, when somebody tells you ven, they want you to come. So I'm going to do the clue for this first one. Venue is a place where an event is held because it's the place where people come. Now, I'm going to be having you find the rest of the clues on your own. As always, you can skip a section and do it, skip a sentence and do it later. That way you can cross out the words you've used and know which ones are left. Let's flip it over. And this is where you sort the spelling words for the given Latin or Greek root. So spelling words with ven, there are 2. Spelling word with migra, and there's 1 obviously. Spelling words with graph, there are 2. There's 1 with mit, 2 with odd. And down below, which word is related to the word migrate? So you're looking for a word family that has migrate in it. And which word has a double consonant and an ing ending? So that's just a spelling thing that you need to look for. That's it for today's lesson. I will give you the list of what it is that you need to work on. Now, Now I'm also going to make a PowerPoint a little bit like Mrs. Hogan did. And in this, I'm going to show you examples of all the things in the Nikola Tesla article, like, for instance, Tesla coil, that you might not be familiar with. This one is completely optional. That means it's your choice if you want to look at it or not. So if you're interested in the science that you've been reading about and you would like some pictures and other information that show you what that's like, then you can look at that PowerPoint. All right, that's it for today's lesson. I will hopefully see you all later at the Zoom meeting, which will start at 2:20. Even though the time says 2 o'clock, I will be letting you in at 2:20. Thanks, and I'll see you later.